Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you don't know me, my name is Sarah, and in today's video I'm going to be walking you through a color change technique. It is mostly seamless, but it also isn't very complicated, so it's kind of a nice balance of both worlds where you get a very seamless look, but also not having to do a bunch of extra steps that take a lot longer. This color change technique can be used in two different ways. The first one is simply just to change from one color to another, but I actually prefer this technique for making stripes. So you switch between one color and the next for multiple rounds. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how I do this with my bee tutorial, and I actually do use this technique in that tutorial, so if you've seen that tutorial, you may already know where this is going. But if you haven't, or you just want a better video outside of an actual tutorial for a plushie, this is the video for you. For materials, you're just going to need the project you're working on and a pair of scissors. Obviously the crochet hook you're using as well. But let's just go ahead and jump right into this. I've just completed the third round of my bee pattern, and I need to color change for the next round. So in order to do that, I'm going to slip stitch into the next stitch. Then I'm going to chain one and pull up a loop. Now, if you want to just simply color change, you can just fasten off right now and leave the end. But since we are going to be making stripes with the pink, we're going to just pull up a loop. Now, if you're making a project that is a lot bigger than this, where the stitch count is a lot higher, then you might want to put a stitch marker in this loop so you can't lose it. The next step that we're going to do is take our hook and we're going to insert it into the stitch next to the slip stitch. So this is the slip stitch right here. We're going to insert our hook into that last stitch. And then what we're going to do is we're going to yarn over with our secondary color. So you're just going to put it right on the hook with a little end. Don't make the end too short because we'll want to secure this later. And then we're going to pull this yarn through to create a loop under our hook, just like so. And now the next step is to single crochet into that slip stitch. So the next stitch, just like so. Now you want to ignore the stitch the slip stitch is in now, because we're just going to be crocheting over it. So go ahead and single crochet around. Now there are two important things to keep in mind when you're doing this technique. The first one is do not chain anything at all when you start your first single crochet. So just like I did, you just immediately crochet into the next slip stitch. You don't do anything other than that. The second thing to note is when you come back around, you need to make sure that you put a stitch into that same stitch where we pulled up a loop, because if you do not, then you'll be one stitch behind. You'll have one less stitch than you need. So make sure you place your final single crochet in that stitch where we pulled up a loop. So now at this point we're going to start our next color change. So go ahead and slip stitch into that next stitch, just like so, chain one and pull up a loop. And here we have the start of our color change. And so far it's looking pretty nice, but let's keep going. So we're going to repeat the exact same thing, except this time we're not going to be yarning over. We're going to be inserting our hook into that stitch next to the slip stitch, so the final stitch of the round. Put the loop on your hook and pull tight. And now you're going to yarn over and pull through all of the loops on your hook. And now we're going to single crochet into that slip stitch and single crochet around, just like we did with the last round. Again, make sure that you place that single crochet into that stitch where we pulled up a loop. And now we're going to slip stitch into that loop right there. You're going to slip stitch into that first stitch, chain one, pull up a loop. And now we're just going to repeat the exact same process with the last round of our color change. So insert your hook into that last stitch next to the slip stitch. Put the loop on your hook and pull it tight. Now make sure you don't pull it too tight, but you do want it to be pretty taut. Yarn over and pull through all the loops on your hook. Single crochet into the slip stitch, and then single crochet around. And once you've come all the way around, we're going to slip stitch, chain one, and fasten off this time, since we're finished with our secondary color. If you're continuing to make stripes, then just continue to create loops until you have the amount of rounds that you need. So now I'm going to join on my next color. Do the same thing that we did with our previous rounds. Now my last tip before decreasing, so if you're doing the bee pattern and you need to do a decrease round right after these color changes, I would suggest single crocheting into the first stitch and then decreasing 6 times. This will just make it look cleaner when it's finished, because if you ignore the single crochet and you just start decreasing, sometimes it can have like a little divot. So this just avoids the issue entirely. But here's the color change. So here we have the cleanest side, of course, but then here's the joint. And honestly, I don't think it looks bad for a color change. I forgot to mention though, if you turn your piece inside out, you'll want to secure the end that you joined with, this end right here, because it is not secured. So usually I just tie these 2 ends together, but you could also just tie it with a needle or tie it to the magic ring. And I know there's a lot of color change techniques out there, so I do hope that this one was helpful and that you all find some use in it. I also know that this technique, at least I personally haven't seen it anywhere. I think that is it for everything. Let me know down in the comments below if there are any other techniques or crochet tips that you want me to film a video on. I do want to do one on how to attach a piece seamlessly, because I have kind of experimented with my techniques over time and I feel like I've found a really nice place to be with the seams. If y'all are interested in that, let me know. I did show that technique off in my bell tutorial as well when I attached the legs, but I can do a full separate video on that as well, just to make it easier for you all to find the techniques. That is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. If you did, leave a bee emoji in the comments. That seems fitting for today's tutorial. And let me know if this technique helped you at all, and if so, what projects are you using on. I'm always curious. With all that said, I will hopefully see you in my next video, which will be a market vlog, I'm sure. That's it. I'm gonna stop talking now, and I'll check in with you later. Bye!